Hey guys, what's going on? It's Andy from Toy Barn. Hey, let me walk you. It's crazy, man. My building looks completely empty, and if you don't know, I'm a very small dealership, but usually we have about 10 to 15 cars. Usually we have about 10 to 15 motorcycles. Everything's been flying off the shelf, sold out. It's been empty, and it's been really hard to get inventory. Anybody who's in the dealership game knows what I'm talking about. Guys, let me talk to you guys about this this grounding issue with the Reaper and what you all should do. Now, my ski is a 2018 ski. It's a very early model. I don't know what they did for 19s, 20s. I don't know what they're doing for 21s. I am talking about my particular setup for me. If there are changes on different years, I'm glad they did it. If not, just check. But look, here's what's going on. So here's your CDI over here, okay? In this CDI, I'm sorry, here's your E-box, okay? In the E-box, you have your CDI, you have your starter solenoid, you've got a voltage regulator, and you got your ignition coil. If you ever took this out and you opened it up and saw how everything's laid out, in this box, there's a common ground. One point where all of those items get grounded on, okay? We'll get back to that in a second. Now, how are these skis grounded? Okay, your battery's right there. This is my negative. I know it's a red cable. Ignore that. This is my negative terminal, and it goes all the way around, and it goes on the starter. Okay, the starter is then bolted to the block, or it's bolted to the engine. All right. Then, because your stator is bolted to the cover and is touching the engine, it's also now grounded. In this harness, in this front harness, okay, in the front harness on the stator cover, there's a black wire. That black wire comes all the way around, it goes up this harness, and it goes in to your E-box, and it is the common ground. It is the ground that is grounding everything in here, okay? Now, bear in mind that this cover, there should be a gasket, or maybe you use silicone, or maybe you use something. So really, the only reason why it's grounded is because of these bolts, all the bolts that mount the stator cover. That one ground is responsible for grounding everything, and that's terrible, okay? So, in my opinion, this is what I've done, and it has been the best thing to do. Everybody talks about adding a ground from your engine somewhere, one of these car bolts or some shit, to your E-box, one of the E-box bolts. It's not a bad idea, but ultimately what you should do is the harness that runs in the front, okay, the front of your stator cover, follow that black wire, okay? Follow that black wire. Here's the harness for it. And you could open this up, okay, anywhere you want. There's a black wire in here. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see where it's open here. One second, guys. Okay. It's kind of tucked, but okay, you see that black wire? It's kind of on the bottom, okay? That wire is solely responsible for grounding everything in your E-box, all right? So, follow the black wire and tap that black wire. Just tap it, and then all I did is I bolted it straight to the ground, okay? There's fuck man, there's no light here. You see that brown wire here? You see this brown wire? This brown wire is on my ground, on the battery. This wire here that I added, all it does is tap this black wire. So, what does that mean? That means if I take and unplug this connector, the connector's unplugged, which is responsible for grounding everything in my CDI, the ski wouldn't start. Okay, but here, I just bumped the starter, everything's on, but my stator's not plugged in. Okay, now if I'm talking too fast and you're not following me, let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, here. This is what everybody should do if Krash didn't take care of it or added something. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Okay, ignore some of this stuff. All right, this is it, okay? Here's your battery, okay? Your battery ground goes around underneath the pipe, and it's on the starter, okay? Your starter is bolted to your engine. your stator cover and stator is touching the engine, and therefore they ran that black wire all the way here into the e-box. And there's a, if you ever take it apart, there's a pin there that has everything grounded in there. Okay, the CDI, the regulator, the coil, everything's on this common ground. Okay, all you have to do is, let me find the marker. Guys, all you guys have to do is, if you want your ski to have a really good ground, take this black wire, tap it, and ground it straight on the battery. Okay, this means that everything in this box has a direct ground to the battery, instead of relying on this ridiculous, this is way, oh, sorry, I'm holding it with my left hand now. This is, there's just, you have one ground on the starter, and then you have a seal here, you know, there's a gasket here. It's not good enough contact. Okay, you want everything grounded well. This is how you do it. Your entire e-box grounded directly on the battery. Simple. Okay, and then, you know, it doesn't hurt. You can also add a ground from, you know, one of your engine bolts to one of your CDI cover bolts. The more the better. Okay, I mean, think about it. When you look at your car, can you imagine if your entire car only had one ground wire on it? Even when you look at the battery ground, you know, the ground goes to the starter, the ground goes to the body, the ground goes to the fuse box. There's multiple grounds. Everybody should add this, tap this black wire, put it on here. Maybe they made a change, maybe they didn't. Okay, this will help a lot of people with you know, your fuses blowing or stuff. Maybe you're hitting your start button, nothing's happening. Maybe your CDI lights aren't coming on. Everybody should do this. Okay, take the ground. This is the black wire in the stator connector in the front. Okay, you can follow it up the harness, and you could tap it anywhere you want. Tap it here, tap it there, you know, tap it here, wherever you want, and make the connection go straight to battery, to the negative. Okay, all right, guys, thank you for watching.